Welcome to Cooking from the Cave. I'm Chef Pete Trusiak, and today I'm going to be showing you a quick, easy breakfast. This is cave granola is what you can call it. I love making granola. I try and push it on everybody. I'm basically a granola pusher, if you will, if there is such a thing. Make it for people at work. Just eat it all the time. So I'm going to show you a simple yet extremely tasty recipe on how I make my granola. My wife calls it the kitchen sink of granola because I throw a whole bunch of other things in it. You can vary this recipe by leaving out certain items like the almonds, the pecans, the sunflower seeds. You can leave those out. You could change the cranberries. You could put the cranberries in, maybe even add chocolate to this at the end. I'm going to start with the liquid portion of the granola. This is a half cup of coconut oil. If you don't have coconut oil, you can use canola oil. But if you're going to use coconut oil is a solid form, and you do need to heat it up. So in a small saucepan over here, I just heated up a half cup. Didn't bring it up to a boil or nothing, just to bring it to a liquid form. I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of honey to this oil. And another thing I love about my granola recipe is it's very much eyeballed all the way through. So we'll do 3/4 cup here. I'm just going to stir this up so the canola or the coconut oil as well as the honey gets blended. I'm going to add 3/4 cup of brown sugar to that mixture. Seems like a lot of sweet in here, but don't worry. This recipe will come together. And I'm just going to stir this up till it dissolves that brown sugar. We're going to go to our base. It's 4 cups of oats, 2 cups of raw pecans, 1 cup of sunflower seeds. I have a half of a nutmeg grated, and I'll show you how I do that. I just take a microplane, run it over the top, run the nutmeg over the top of it, and it's going to finely grate that nutmeg for you. If you don't have one of these, run out and get one, or at least use some fresh grated nutmeg. So I have a half of a nutmeg grated, and I have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon added. I'm going to grab a spoon and stir this around together. I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of salt. Stir my base around. I just want to get the sunflower seeds and the pecans to just be evenly incorporated throughout all those oats and everything. We're then going to take our liquid ingredient and we're going to pour that over the top. Now this is going to come out almost like a sludge. That is alright. We're then going to stir everything up together. And the ratio of dry to wet will just sort of help separate everything so that brown sugar, honey, and coconut oil, or canola oil, depending on what you use, will be evenly dispersed throughout this entire bowl. Just make sure when doing this, get yourself a large enough bowl so that you're not losing sunflower seeds or pecans or oats all over the counter or the floor. Once this is evenly incorporated, we're going to go ahead and dump this onto our sheet trays over here. And I have my sheet tray lined with aluminum foil. I may need to use more than one, so I have a backup right behind me. Actually, I'm going to get away with just using one in this recipe. I'm going to lay this out flat. You can do a little bit more mixing if necessary. And I can now put this in the oven at 250 degrees for roughly about 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. You're going to want to stir it periodically throughout the cooking time. you're going to look for something that's going to start to brown up around the edges a little bit. You'll go ahead and take your spoon, stir that back over, and you'll probably do that 3 to 4 times throughout the cooking process. Just keep an eye on it, and I'll show you what that looks like in about an hour. About an hour after we put this in the oven, our granola is done, and the best thing I can tell you is about every 15 minutes I was just going, opening the oven up, stirring the granola around like I'm doing right now. As soon as the granola turns this nice golden brown, the pecans have turned a little darker brown too. Now's the time you can pull it out of the oven. You can even try it if you want. It's not terribly hot. We're going to go ahead and mix this into a larger mixing bowl. And do it while it's still hot, because the caramelized sugars have a tendency to bind together, and you don't want to make a toffee here. You want to make, granola. So if we can keep all the grains separate and everything, and if we can start to incorporate our almonds and our cranberries while it's still hot, that's even better. So we'll toss in our sliced almonds, toss in our cranberries, and again, get yourself a real big mixing bowl and just start folding this in. Our granola is evenly combined, and now we can just plate this up. I would let it cool down, and then just go ahead and put it into some either Ziploc bags or into a Tupperware container. But even while it's still hot, this is a great snack. There you go. Our, as my wife calls it, the kitchen sink of granola, made easy here at Cooking from the Cave. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you real soon.